So here, this is Lord Potato, and this is what if Yuji Itadori was the reincarnation of Kenpachi Zaraki or Zaraki Kenpachi, whatever you like to say, but not the point, or the man that's on Black Force energy every single day. But other than that, what's it called? Did I say Black Air Forces? Never mind. Whatever. Okay, so let me not do a recap, but let me say subscribe to Anime Sensei, subscribe to Obito What Ifs, and Iconic What Ifs. That's kind of a mouthful, but whatever. Yes, I'll put their link in the description. I'm gonna be doing that the whole time. It's just so they can actually get up towards what they call at least 1,000. Yeah. But other than that, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was gonna record this part 2 yesterday. Problem is, I was keep sneezing, and I either think that was just because of fucking allergies, or I'm fucking actually sick. But now I'm not sneezing that much. Like yesterday, I kept like sneezing over like 1 second, like a fucking machine gun every damn time. Choo 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 choo. Whatever. Other than that, I'm gonna be continuing this part. Yeah, I have a great idea for one part, and yeah. Other than that, let me continue. So, we go into where what's it called? Gojo brought what's it called Yuji and what's it called Nobra and original canon. So of course Nobra is not going because well, Gojo doesn't seem like he wants to see Yuji's mostly abilities to see how strong he is. But yeah, of course he doesn't put Nobra in because he already did kind of test her abilities with Fujigoro in the beginning. If Yuji would have entered like in original canon in the beginning instead of waiting 1 week, he would have probably met Nobra, but not really. So of course this is where well Yuji's going in, and of course this is where Nobra kind of asks Gojo, why are you letting Yuji go in and not well her or what's it called Fujigoro. Gojo says that he probably won't need it, and it's better not to cause you guys damage, unnecessary damage. That's where well Yuji says, well, I'm gonna go in. He busts through the door. He doesn't even like, well, he doesn't bust through it. He kind of just like rips the door handle on accident. He just wanted to open it, just like open the door. He accidentally ripped it off. He's like, oh. Whatever. Yuji walks the fuck in and doesn't care about the door just being on the ground. Nobra, Fujigoro, and Gojo were kind of surprised just seeing Yuji rip the door fucking handle. Well, not the handle, the fucking door frame entirely. This is where, well, Yuji walks in. He sees one cursed spirit rushing towards him, and he just punches the fuck out of it. Not even pulling out his what's it called, sword. He hasn't even pulled that out. He has it with one arm. He's just holding it. But yeah. Or not one arm. He has it on his fucking like around him. So yeah. So Yuji is walking around destroying all cursed spirits and all that. So this is actually a different building from the original canon one. So yeah. I should mention. But of course, this is where Yuji, he's slicing, well not even slicing, he's mostly just like punching, kicking, crushing cursed spirits under his feet. But yeah, he gets to a room, and he sees, well, nothing out of the ordinary until, well, he keeps walking forward, and a cursed spirit like rushes out from the wall, intending to kill Yuji. Yuji grabs it from the face and crushes it. This is where, well, he hears like some kind of crying. He looks at some boxes, because his room did have boxes, and sees a girl with pink hair. For some reason, well, the girl was crying, and of course, well, she was scared also. Kind of scared, but mostly crying. She wasn't really that scared, but yeah. This is where, well, Yuji goes up to her and says, hey kid, you okay? This is where the girl says, my mom, my dad, I have no one. This is where, well, Yuji says, okay. So you have no parents. Interesting. I mean, I have no parents neither. This is where, well, Yuji, not Yuji, her name is, what's it called? Well, Yuji says, what's your name, kid? This is where her name, she says, I don't have a name. I don't know what my name is. And of course, this is where Yuji says, interesting. How about you like to come with me anyway? This is where the pink haired girl kind of looks up at Naruto Yuji and says, really? Would you adopt me or something? Yuji says, sure, why not? How about I name you... This is where he gives a flashback to someone with pink hair and him being Kenpachi in the, the Soul Society. This pink haired girl being named Yorichi. So yeah. So of course Yuji says, Yorichi. Yorichi. This is where the girl kind of looks up and smiles and says, sure, I like that name. This is where Yuji says, then good, let's go. This is where the girl kind of follows Yuji. But of course, this is where a giant cursed spirit appears. This cursed spirit is a second grade. This is where the cursed spirit rushes at Yuji with blinding speed, intending to kind of kill Yuji. But when the cursed spirit decides to punch at Yuji's face, it really didn't do anything. It kind of just made Yuji kind of bleed a little bit. Yuji says, I see a new opponent. Then let me help you. This is where he pulls out his sword and slices the, the cursed spirits in half, basically from the torso. And of course the building also gets sliced. So of course it starts collapsing a little bit. This is where, Yorichi said, she was about to fall until Yuji kind of grabbed her, kind of put her on his back like a piggy rack, right, another, and decides to jump out the window. He's like, we're gonna do it! Yeah! This is where they jump out the window. And of course, Yorichi, she isn't crying, she isn't screaming or anything. She's just kind of being happy. Because she's actually gonna be the reincarnation of, basically, Kenpachi's daughter, Yorichi. I know they're not really, family or anything. Pretty much Yorichi just likes Kenpachi and they're not really related or anything. But she's gonna be the reincarnation, this girl. So yeah. Just because they are actually, Kenpachi just has a soft side for her. So yeah. Someone. He's sometimes also, very crazy at the time. Kenpachi. But other than that, let me go back into the water. So of course, this is where Yuji just smashes the ground like it's nothing, breaks the ground. Like, he walks out the little, broken crack and all that. And he says, well, I am done. White hair dude or whatever your name is again. This is where Gojo says, did you really have to destroy the building? No. This is where, he didn't say no, he says, yes, it's necessary to destroy the building. This is where Gojo says, who's that girl? This is where Yuji says, she doesn't have any parents or no one, so I'm gonna adopt her. This is where Nobara says, what? You're gonna adopt someone? How old are you anyway? 16. This is where Nobara says, 16? Then why are you gonna adopt a child? Yuji says, because she seems... Well, she doesn't have family, and I don't have family. So the best thing to have is to have each other. So yeah. This is where, Yorichi is right now on Yuji's back and saying, yeah. I have... what do you want me to call you? Yuji says, don't know. You can call me Kenpachi. This is where Yuji says, Kenny! Sure, let's just call me Kenny. This is where, she's just going, Kenny. Now, I should mention one thing. Yuji's hair, it is spiky like Kenpachi's. It kind of like having those bells. Well, I should mention when that's actually going to happen. So, Yuji is still going to have those bells around, But, yeah. So we go into a week time skip when they're actually going to the special grade and all that. And of course, Yorichi has to stay into the, Jujutsu High. And, Yage, he is not gonna really deal with the whole, family business with, Kenpachi and Yorichi. So, yeah. Or mostly Yuji. So, yeah, he just lets, Yorichi stay in, Yuji's room, so yeah. But of course with that happening, or not stay, mostly go with Kenpachi. So of course, Yagi can see that Kenpachi's pretty much strong, but he doesn't know how strong Kenpachi is. Well, Yuji mostly is. So, of course, is where, Yuriichi is actually going along with Yuji and Nobara and even Fujiwara to a special grade somewhat to that one person, but yeah. But yeah, Yuji doesn't really care about people. He can give 2 fucks less. What's it called? Yuriichi, she was just like on Yuji's back, and of course she's saying, Kenny, Kenny, Kenny. Of course, this is where the mother doesn't actually ask why she's on Yuji's back. But of course, this is where Ichi can't even do anything to Yuji because Yuji is scary. That's where Ichi just says, sure, let's let her go in. Yeah, okay. So of course, this is where Fujiwara, Nobara, and even Kenpachi, Yuji, and Yuriichi go in. Of course, this is where, Nobara and Fujiwara looks at what's called Yuji. And Yuji is kind of kind to what's called Yuriichi. But anyone else can piss off. He doesn't like anyone else. So of course, this is where, he like goes in, and of course they're going through. Of course, this is where Fujiwara says, the door. This is where, Kenpachi looks behind, sees the door disappear. But this is where he goes towards it and just kicks the wall, breaking and shattering into a million pieces. The domain actually breaks. This is where Fujiwara says, did you shatter the domain? Yuji says, well, how else are we gonna get out? Don't be stupid, Fujiwara, let's just go. Fujiwara looks at Yuji, going, the fuck? This is where Nobara is just like, huh? This is where Yuriichi on what's it called Yuji's back is saying, Kenny, 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 let's go! Let's go beat up all the evil monsters! This is where Yuji says, yeah! Let's go find that thing! This is where Fujiwara says, Yuji, where the hell do you think you're going? We're gonna go beat up the thing. This is where, what's it called? Fujiwara goes, the hell do you mean go beat up the thing? This is where Yuji says, yeah. Now, if you don't want to come, I'm going to be going alone. This is where Yuji, he's walking around. Of course, Nobara and even what's it called, Fujiwara follows him. But of course, they manage to get lost. And of course, this is where they manage to get downstairs. And they see the cursed spirit the cursed spirit rushes at Fujiwara to try to attempt to kill him. But this is where Yuji blocks it with only an arm. He just blocks the attack. Now, of course, that attack was actually like a jab to try to kill what's it called, Fujiwara. But of course, this is where, instead of like stabbing him, it kind of just, what's it called, stabbed Kenpachi. But of course, it didn't cut his arm or anything. Instead, Kenpachi grabbed the cursed spirit from the arm and kicked him. Kicked him so damn hard they kind of launched him into a freaking wall. Made him have a crater in it. This is where Yuji's saying, this is gonna be fun. This is where Yuriichi kind of gets down and says, go Kenny! And of course, this is where Fujiwara and Nobara goes, This is where, Nobara was actually still gonna be captured by what's it called, the cursed spirit. Or another cursed spirit. Until Yuriichi pulls out a sword and actually cuts through them. Because yes, Yuriichi is a soul reaper, so of course, she's actually gonna have her, what's it called, powers, like an original canon for Zaraki Kenpachi's daughter, Yuriichi. So yeah, of course she like cuts down like half the things that were trying to grab Nobara. But yeah, this is where Nobara says, "What the?" This is where she sees Yuriichi with a sword, and of course this is where Yuriichi says, "I won't let you touch her." This is where the cursed bear still kind of tries to grab Nobara and even Yuriichi, but Yuriichi cuts him down, and Nobara also uses her what's it called nails to kill him. This is where Yuji is right now beating the fuck out of the cursed spirit, the special grade. Of course, this is where the special grade decides to use a blast to intend to kill Yuji. Yuji takes the blast like a beast and doesn't even phase the fuck out of him. like the smoke clears up, and of course, Yuji's, well, one eye goes yellow. Yuji says, this is gonna be fun! This is where spiritual pressure started appearing, smashing the, what's it called? Well, cursed spirit down to the ground. He's right now cracking the ground. And this is where Yuji appears and throws a punch, an uppercut punch to the cursed spirit. The cursed spirit couldn't dodge, and of course gets hit in the jawline, kind of getting sent the fuck up. Of course, this is where Yuji appears, grabs the, appears in the air, grabs the cursed spirit from, like, the face, smashes him down to the ground, and of course then lands down on the ground, intending to kind of crush the spirit with one leg. Of course, this is where the cursed spirit gets smashed to the ground, and this does get stomped to the ground by Yuji, because Yuji is brutal as fuck. But this is where Yuji then grabs the cursed spirit from the leg, and then smash him into another wall. This is where Yuji says, come on, fight back! Don't be a little bitch! Come on! Fight me to the death, you fucking weakling! This is where Yuji's going straight towards it. This is where the cursed spirit doesn't know why, but it's feeling fear for the first time from, well, Yuji's just immense power. This is where Yuji, he then says, if you don't show me a good fight, then I'll just kill you. This is where Yuji pulls out his sword, and of course, it's this, what, jagged sword and all that? It's this jagged sword, and of course, this is where Yuji kind of uses one hand to just swing the sword, and it just cuts the, what's it called? Well, cursed spirit in half, killing him in an instant. As well, the finger did kind of also get cut in, well, in half, because, did I say that Yuji killed the other one? Yeah. This is where, well, it's just because Kenpachi is overpowered as fuck. Yeah. So, of course, this is where, well, Kenpachi just cuts the finger also, where it has immense pressure, kind of adding a lot of what they call spiritual pressure to the sword, and throwing a slash, but yeah. That's how he cuts the, what's it called, cursed spirit. Now, of course, also kind of obliterating with his own cursed spirit, but doesn't, well, not cursed spirit, his, soul spirit. His spiritual pressure. I don't know why I always say cursed spirit. What the hell am I talking about? His spiritual pressure, but yeah. Of course, not spiritual pressure, spiritual energy or whatever. But yeah. Of course is where, well, Fujigoro said, He's looking at Yuji going, what the hell? But yeah. Fujigoro just has his face on and just like, He just so damn confused because Yuji just murder a cursed spirit, sending this bitch straight to hell. And Yuriichi, she's already defeated her own what's it called cursed spirits because she does get trained by Yuji about how to use her own Soul Reaper powers, but yeah. Because Yuji did find out that she has Soul Reaper powers. So of course this is where, well, Yuji helps us to call Yuriichi, so yeah. Of course this is where, well, they go towards back to the outside. Of course, Yuji doesn't get killed in this one, so yeah, because Yuji's too fucking broken. But yeah. I mean, he's not like broken as like a Jade Emperor, but he's broken enough. But we go into Yuji just going back to what's it called, the Jujutsu High, and of course, this is where instead of being killed, he is just kind of just laying in bed. Now, of course, this is where, well, Yuji, he's kind of just like, the next day is him just kind of like not really talking, kind of like wondering what to do next. Because there's not really a mission today. And of course, he's going to go meet Fujigoro and Nobara outside. And this is where, well, Maya comes to kind of annoys, Fujigoro and Nobara that's at, like, original canon. But of course, Nobara and Fujigoro aren't depressed. They're just depressed about the fact that Yuji is very too strong. Like, he's overpowered as fuck. And this is where Fujigoro then thinks about it. When Maya was kind of, Maki was talking to them. This is where, well, Fujigoro thinks of the greatest idea and says, Maki, You're the perfect person to spar with. Well, spar with what they call Yuji Kenpachi. That's where Maki says, "Who?" This is where Yuji comes out, and of course he does have someone on his back being Yoriichi, but of course his hair is spiked and has bells. And of course this is where Yuji says, "Hey Fujigoro, let's train." This is where Fujigoro says, no, how about she wanted to train with you?" And this is where Maki looks at what's called Yuji, and Yuji says, "Fine. Huh, then let's see if you can survive my power." This is where Maki says, "Oh, cocky, aren't you?" This is where Yoriichi says, "He's not cocky, he's Kenny." This is where Maki says, "Who? Who's that kid anyway? Or brat?" This is where Yuji says, "My daughter." This is where Maki says, "You have a daughter? Wait, how old are you anyway?" 16. Wait, how the hell do you have a daughter? Maki said. This is where Yuji says, "Not biological daughter. She's, well, an adopted daughter." This is where Maki says, "But why would you adopt her anyway?" I met her on what's it called, mission, when I supposed to show my skills to Gojo, or whatever he wanted me to do. But I found her and I decided to adopt her because she didn't have family and neither did I. This is where Maki says, "Huh." This is where Yuji says, "Now, do you want to fight and spar to see who's the strongest?" This is where Yuji smiles evilly. He has sharp teeth. His teeth are like sharp when he's smiling. This is where Maki kind of feels weird towards Yuji. But yeah, of course, this is where, well, they go into the sparring match, and of course Panda and even what's called Togo, not Todo. Togo says salmon. Panda says, "So, this is Yuji Itadori. He's new, isn't he, Fujigoro?" Fujigoro says, "Yeah, and he's too damn strong for his own damn good." This is where Panda says, "Then what's with the eye patch?" This is where, well, Yuji says, Kenny needs that eye patch because he needs to lower down his power. Because Yuji did tell Yoriichi that the eye patch is for him to kind of lower his power down, to drain his power. Because he has too damn much and he would obliterate everything. That's what Yoriichi tells was the car. Well, all of them. Even Maki hears that and she says, "Wait, what?" This is where Yuji smacks his head and says, "Yoriichi, you're not supposed to tell them that. That just scares them more. Because that won't be any fun." That's where Yoriichi said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny." This is where, well, Yuji says, "Yes, whatever. Now that you heard my secret of having too much damn power, I have to have one of my eyes drain off, the power. So that's why I'm always at 50%. That's where Maki says, Huh, I thought you just lost an eye." No, Yuji said no. This is where, well, Maki says, "Okay, but you probably won't be that strong." This is where Yuji says, "Bring it on then." Yuji doesn't use his sword or anything. He could use his sword, and of course Maki could use her weapons. Her curse tools and all that. But of course it's where they just wanted to see who is stronger in strength. What Fujigoro wanted to see. This is where Yuji, he gets ready. And of course Maki does also get ready. So of course they go and split blitz both of them. So they both just speed away. And of course, well, not speed away. Maki, she travels at a fast pace to kind of fight against what's called Yuji. And Yuji, he dodges the punch. Or not even dodges. He lets the punch hit him right in the face. He gets kind of pushed a little bit forward, backwards. Not forwards, backwards. And of course, this is where Yuji just smiles. This is where Maki thought that he was supposed to dodge it. This is where Maki decides to kick at Yuji's head, kind of pushing his head sideways. This is where Yuji is actually smiling. He actually enjoys fighting to the death a lot. So yeah, this is where Yuji says, "You're pretty strong and pretty cute at the same time, but not that. I don't really care." This is where Yuji kind of appears right in front of Maki and punches her in the stomach. This is where Maki kind of coughed up spit, And of course, he did get hit in the stomach pretty hard because Yuji, well, he's holding back still a lot. But of course, that punch would still be kind of terrifying to get punched. But yeah. As it were, well, Yuji, he then appears right in front of what's called Maki again. But this is where Maki kind of flips back in the air, grabbing what's called Yuji from the head. Grabbing Yuji from the head and then kneeing him in the face. This is where Yuji gets hit in the face. And this is where Yuji says, ow, that kind of hurt, don't you think? Then Maki decides to kick him in the air still. And this is where Yuji kind of falls like backwards a little bit. This is where Yuji says, so interesting. So powerful. All your punches and kicks are so powerful. You know, for being, well, what's it called, a curse, what's it called, another, what's it called, Jujutsu sorcerer, you're pretty strong. This is where Maki says, oh, well, I don't have any curse energy, if that's what you're wondering. Yuji says, curse energy. Oh yeah, that stuff that what's it called, Gojo talked about. That white-haired dude talked about. This is where Maki explains that she doesn't have curse energy because she has a heavenly pack. With that allowing her to, well, have this immense strength and all of them other things, but having zero curse energy. This is where Yuji says, interesting. Very interesting. This is where then Maki says, then how did you get your strength? Yuji says, well, I don't know. I was always born with strength so large in amounts of, well, pressure that I can actually send at people. I can test it out with you, but I don't know if I will like that. It's such a cheap shot. I'd rather fight people with fists and hands and anything. I'd rather not, what's it called? Fight them with just using some kind of weak pressure and all that. Doesn't matter. I want to see if you're strong enough with this, heaven pack. This is where, well, Yuji appears right in front of Maki again. And of course, Yuji kind of sends a knee towards what we call Maki. Maki managed to use her flexibility to dodge and then punch at Yuji in the face. This is where, well, of course, she managed to dodge and hit Yuji in the face. And this is where Yuji kind of stumbles back a little bit. And every time Yuji gets just stronger not stronger, she just gets more experience with Yuji's kind of fighting style. Because Yuji is just kind of always just very powerful and punching. He doesn't have a specific fighting style. But of course, this is where, well, Maki says, you don't have a specific fighting style, do you? That's where Yuji says, well, I don't really need one, do I? This is where Maki says cocky. Yuji says, I'm not being cocky. If I was, you would have seen me kind of laugh and says, I'm being cocky and all them other things. Those are for arrogant, idiotic people. I should be enjoying this fight. This is where, well, Maki says, wow, such weird personality you have, but whatever. This is where Yuji says, if you really want me to dodge and attack you and punch you, then you should have said so a long time ago. This is where Maki says, huh? This is where Yuji appears right in front of her, but Maki managed to dodge, and this is where she decides to kick at Yuji's legs. Yuji dodges, and then kicks her right in the stomach. This is where, because he dodges to the side, and kicked her in the stomach. This is where Maki caught the spit, and of course they kind of fight and brawl out for like what's it called, 30 minutes. But of course Maki and Yuji are kind of getting tired. Yuji, even though he he is basically a stamina freak, he can still get tired. This is where, well, Yuji says, you want to call this a tie then? This is where Maki says she still weren't going all out. This is where Yuji says, doesn't matter. This is where, well, Yuji says, well, what's it called, Kenny and, she doesn't really know what to call Maki. So she says Kenny and Mom decide to fight each other. That's where Maki kind of flusters and says, what? That's where Yuji says, Yuji, why the hell did you call her Mom? Mom or whatever. That's where, well, Yuji's kind of flustered also. But of course, it doesn't really show it because he's kind of smarter than, well, what's it called? If you think Kenpachi's pretty smart, he just doesn't show his intelligence that much. He'd rather be a brutal murderer than anything else. So it's where, well, Yuji says because, what's it called? She's so strong and you're so strong. So I'm guessing that she would be kind of be mom and all that. This is where Yuji says, no, she's just a training partner and all that. That's, this is where Yuji's kind of flustered a little bit, but yeah. Of course, Maki, she is kind of flustered. And of course, she kind of overheats and passes out. Panda did grab her, and of course, Panda just says, interesting, huh. This is where, well, Yuji says, this is interesting. This is where, well, that happens, and of course, this is where Yuji says, Yurichi, just call her Maki, or green hair, or anything else. Mossy hair would be better, or something like that. This is where Yurichi says, fine, I will call her that. This is where Yuji says, God, I don't want to get into this whole romance. Even though she is kind of good looking, it's just like, I don't know. This is where Yuji's just thinking. He doesn't use his emotions much, and he doesn't use his brain much, so yeah. But this is where, well, the next day happens, and of course, is where, well, they are actually training for the exchange event. Now, Yuji, he still is gonna kind of, like, wake up the next day. And of course, Gojo did kind of fight against, like, what's called special grade. Well, meaning Jogo. And of course, Yuji was brought along by Gojo and Yorichi. The, what's it called, night before that. But of course, it's where Yuji, he sends a wave of slash towards Hanami. When Hanami decides to try to grab, what's it called, well, Jogo. Basically, not a wave slash, he kind of just saw the fight. And of course, Yorichi still did, Yorichi this time gets captured by the, what's it called, tree thing. And this is where Yuji kind of breaks the thing and rushes at Hanami with blinding speed, grabbing Hanami from the back and smashing him to the ground. This is where Yuji says, where do you think you're going? I'm going to murder you! This is where Yuji punches Hanami in the face, kind of cracking his face. This is where Hanami realized that this monster is not normal. This is not a normal human. He's a monster. Yuji says, you think you can just hurt my daughter like that? I'ma fucking murder you. Yuji's eyes went yellow, and he sent a, what's it called? He added spiritual energy into, what's it called, his hand. And of course, it does go yellow, and he punches the ground where Hanami was at. Everything around there exploded with power. That's where Yuji says, I'm going to kill you for touching my daughter. That's where, well, Gojo sees this, and Gojo is pretty shocked and terrified of Yuji a little bit. This is where, well, not terrified enough, he just feels a little uncomfortable with Yuji. Seeing Yorichi, she's kind of just, what's it called, playing with the flowers a little bit because they are then burnt, or still a couple. This is where, well, Gojo saying, so anyone touches his daughter is basically dead. Rip them. Seems like, what's it called, if the elders ever piss off, what's it called, Yuji enough, by trying to take his daughter, pretty much rip the council, what's it called, the, council members. All those old bastards gonna freaking deal with the wrath of fucking God. God, he's scary half the time, but hey, at least he won't be able to touch me. That's where, well, not touch me, mostly beat me, but yeah. That's where, well, Hanami managed to escape with only having one leg still having it attached. The other one got obliterated with Yuji's power. But yeah, we go to the next day, and of course Yuji isn't going with Gojo to go with Nanami, but yeah. Instead, we go into Yuji and Fujiwara Nobara still going to that vending machine, and what's it called? Well, Kenpachi, basically Yuji kind of being training with what's it called, Maki, and fighting skills with what's called the sword and all that. And Yuji doesn't really use the sword much to kind of use a style. He does kind of just slice around, just like how Kenpachi does. But yeah. But of course, is where, well, Maki's trying to teach him. But of course, is where Maki says, whatever, just give me a drink. Of course, Yuji does go get a drink still. And, well, not get a drink because Fujigaro's getting a drink and all. Yuji was gonna go anyway just to get himself just a drink too. But this is where he sees Fujigaro kind of fly out and hit the wall. And of course, this is where it's Todo and Maya and all them. What's it called? Todo and Maya. This is where, well, Yuji says, Todo? This is where Todo looks around. Says, Yuji! He pales at the sight of Yuji. Yuji, he sees Todo and what's it called? Todo says, you go to the school too? This is where Yuji says, kinda, I just started like about a month ago. But other than that, I'm so happy I have seen you again, buddy. My old training spar partner. This is where Todo, he has met Yuji before. So we go into a flashback. Yuji, when he was someone in middle school, kind of being the fuck out of what's it called, just high schoolers, because high schoolers did piss him off. Because in the manga, it does show that Yuji does beat up what's it called high schoolers, trying to bully people and all that. Because yeah. But Yuji in this one does beat up what's it called high schoolers and middle schoolers who pissed him off. And he kind of met what's called Todo when he was doing the same and all that. And of course, this is where, well, Yuji and Todo got into a scuffle fight. Of course, Yuji was about to kill Todo. Because, well, Yuji was enjoying the fight with Todo a lot. Of course, this happened over multiple times. But of course, Todo can see that even with his own strength, he can still be beaten the crap out of by Yuji. Yuji is nothing but a monster, a demon, and just human skin. So, of course, this is where, well, Todo is right now afraid of Yuji. Because if Yuji is here, then, there's no way in hell they're gonna win an exchange event. Yuji's a monster. This is where, well, Maya says, what the hell is happening? She looks at what's it called, Yuji. Todo is kind of sweat dropping, and Maya's confused. Why the hell is Todo sweat dropping? Usually he's never afraid of anything. This is where, well, Yuji smiles like an evil grin. Yuji says, so Todo, it's been a while. You want to catch up in those, what's it called, fights again? You know, I have missed you a lot. You know, our old little fights and old little scuffles and all that. I remember you going to say I'm gonna beat the crap out of you because of a boring taste. You know, I still don't care about women and all that. Do you still want to beat the crap out of me? Come here, Todo. Let's talk about that a little bit. Todo says, well, if you don't have taste in women, I'm gonna just leave. This is where Yuji says, oh no you don't. Get over here, Todo. Todo says, shit. This is where Todo says, shit. No, I shouldn't run. This is for, what's it called? He says, this is for, I forgot what's it called, Todo's, that one tall girl that he usually thinks about and all that. China and all that. Of course, this is where he says, this is for her. Punches Yuji in the stomach. Yuji gets punched. Of course, gets pushed back a little bit. But of course, the punch was nothing to affect him. This is where Yuji grabs Todo's arm and says, let's have fun. This is where, well, Maya is kind of confused, but this is where Yuji knees Todo right in the face. Just launch him away from him. Just knee him in the face. Now, of course, when kneeing what's it called, Todo in the face, launch him into the wall and breaking it. This is where Yuji says, come on, Todo! Let's see who's the strongest! This is where, well, Maya is terrified because she just saw Todo just went flying like a goddamn rocket. And of course, from this kid with pink hair. Because yes, Yuji does have pink hair and also black hair, but yeah. This is where Maki, Panda, and Togo hear that. Panda does tell Maki about what's it called, the other students being here, like Maya and probably Todo, but yeah. This is where, well, Maki says, shit, this is bad. Go with what's it called, Fujigaro, or Yuji, whoever's right now fighting against Todo. Zora Maya, she is like horrified just seeing Todo just fly away like a fucking rocket. This is where Yuji says, come on, bastard. We haven't even finished our fight. Don't tell me you're done already. Even at this age, I thought you had gotten stronger. This is where Yuji is walking through the smash, what's it called, hole? The smash hole that's in the wall and all that. And of course, walking towards Todo. Of course, this is where Panda and what's called Togo appears. Next to Fujigaru. And Fujigaru says, what the hell happened? Because he just woke up. This is where Maki, she appears with what's it called, what's it called, blade at Maya's like neck and says, what the hell? What kind of commotion you making trouble, Maya? This is where Maya looks at Maki and says, oh, sorry about that. It's just, Todo just got launched and I'm confused who that kid is. Maki says, who? The guy with pink hair. Maki says, Yuji? That's Yuji? I have never heard of him. That's where Maki just says, because he just joined. He's a, what's called, just first year. Maya says, wait, he's the first year? What the hell? How the hell is he beating the crap out of Todo? And why does Todo seem so scared of Yuji? Of the first year? This is where Maki says, wait, what? This is where you hear in the background is, come here, Todo! Boom, boom! Blasting things off in the, what's called, distance. This is where what's called the old man and Yagi get out, and all they see is Todo right now running away from Yuji. Yuji was what's called his blade in his hand, and says, "Come here! Where the hell do you think you're going?" Sing. This is where Yagi say, well, that's Gojo's problem, not mine. I'll just deal with Gojo later. This is where the old man says, "Who the hell is that?" Yagi says, "He's a first year named Yuji. Don't worry about him. He's chaotic and evil and sometimes will murder anything in his way." But yeah, right now I'm guessing he's fighting against your third year. So you still want to talk about the exchange event, right? It's where the old man says, "Wait, is he gonna be in the exchange event?" This is where Yagi says, "Yeah, of course, he's only a first year. But of course, since we don't have a third years, he's going to have to be in there for the substitution. Unless you want to put everyone against what's called Yuji, which doesn't matter at all. Yuji's actually strong as fuck. If I can remember, Gojo did kind of brought Yuji towards a special grade, and he almost killed that special grade. Well, he has killed special grades before. So Yuji's pretty strong. And very chaotic and evil half the time. But if you want, we can always do what's called your whole school versus Yuji. This is where Yage is kind of smirking, knowing that that's kind of just triggering the shit out of the old man. This is where the old man says, "No, I still want what's called your school versus my school. Just like this, what's called exchange event was always like. I just want I want that boy, power restraint." Yage says, oh, but it's already restrained. Do you not see that eye patch? That eye patch drained 50% of his power away. Right now, Yuji's probably using about 30 to 20%. I don't know. Yuji holds a lot back. Here's where the old man is horrified. He now regrets what he said. Even if Yuji is holding like what's called having 5%, I feel like Yuji will still destroy them. Old man is going, This is where we go back into the background of the noise. "Come here, Todo! Where do you think you're going? Come on! Come and fight me!" This is where Todo's right now running. Because, yeah, he's the only person that can make him horrify. Like can make him kind of die and kind of sweat a lot. And also feel like it can kill him is Yuji. Because meeting Yuji when he was in middle school kind of terrifies him a lot. Now, of course, I know Todo is 19 and Yuji was like 16, I mentioned. But yeah, so basically in middle school, they kind of met each other. Yuji still being kind of like a little kid, but of course still being murderous as fuck. And of course, Todo being like at least already gonna get out of middle school, but yeah. But of course, is where Yuji says, "Come here, Todo! Where the hell do you think you're going?" So, I should mention, Todo is 6'3", while Yuji is 6'2". So, yeah. Yuji is, like, looking around. And, of course, this is where Yuji says, "Hey, Dad, what's it called, Kenny. So who are we looking for? Yuji says, oh, we're looking for a guy with a scar, like on his eye a little bit, black hair, has no shirt right now, and has black pants and black shoes. That's where Yuji says, so like that person over there? Todo is trying to sneak away, and of course he just gets found out by Yuji, and Kenpachi turns around. This is where Yuji says, Todo. This is where Todo runs right now. This is where Todo says, come here, Todo. This is where boom, boom, you just hear a bunch of explosions in the background. So yeah, we go into Maki, Maya, Nobara, and even, Fujiwara's right now just being taken to the nurses, Torshoko, by Panda, and even Togo. Togo just tells him to wake up because they don't know if Yuji's gonna die or not. But yeah, because that punch was terrifying strong. This is where, Maya says, who the hell is he? This is where, Maki says, that is Yuji, like I said. Why is he that strong? This is where Maki says, I don't fucking know. Go ask him yourself then. This is where, Maya says, yeah, rather not. This is where all they hear is a kind of like scream, or like a scream that's coming closer, smashes to the ground, and it's total. Kind of just smoking. Kind of passed out also. That's where Yuji appears smashing the ground. He like jumps so high, smashes the ground, and says, so, Todo, are you still alive or are you dead? Todo is right now unconsciously not talking or anything. He's just unconscious. This is where Yuji says, Todo, poke. Like, he doesn't even poke him. He kind of just kicks him. This is where Yuji says, oh, come on, you can't be dead already. That was no fun. This is where, Maki says, Yuji, what the hell are you doing? Yuji says, oh, hey, Maki. Talking to an old friend. This is where, Maya says, old friend? Seems like you murder your old friend. No, that's just the greetings we talk about. That's our greetings. This is where Maki says, what the hell is wrong with you? Maya goes, this guy's strange. That's where Nobara says, was he supposed to be strong? And this is where Maya looks at Nobara and says, yes, Todo was supposed to be one of our strongest. He's our third year. This is where, Maya still doesn't believe Yuji's what's called first year, but this is where Yuji says, oh, I am a first year. I just joined like a couple of months ago. But other than that, if you're wondering, I'm still holding a lot of power behind. Oh, it's going easy on Todo. 20%. That's pretty easy. Maya doesn't believe it, and she just passes out after that. Because she is horrified. If they are going against this person in exchange event, she rather gives up than fight against what's called Yuji. This is where, Yuji says, whatever. Hey, Yurichi. This is where Yurichi says, yeah, Kenny? This is where, Yuji says, you want to go towards what's called Tokyo to kind of go get ice cream or something like that? This is where, Yurichi says, yeah, let's go, Kenny. So Yuji kind of leaves, and yeah. Of course, the Kyoko students still leave. And of course, Todo is actually being carried by other people from the Kyoko school. Mostly some assistants, but yeah. He's over here just has white eyes. Not because he's going berserk. White eyes because he's unconscious. And of course, Maya, she did wake up. But yeah, she is horrified of Yuji. Of course, this is where we go into a kind of weak time skip. Now, of course, this is where, Yuji's actually called in by Gojo to kind of train a little bit what's it called, him and also Hanami. So, Yuji still meets Hanami with Yoriuchi being along, tagging along. But yeah. Of course, this is where, when Yuji does talk to what's called Hanami, Hanami sees Yuji as kind of a berserker half the time. Brute and all that. But Yuji could be smart sometimes, but he doesn't do it. Because, yeah. And Yorichi and Kenpachi are basically going on the whole theory or whatever thing. And of course, where, well, they're still looking who murdered what's it called, the three kids. And of course, yeah. Now, Yuji still meets with Junpei. And Junpei was like kind of wondering who the hell this guy. That's why Yuji kind of still meets Junpei through what's it called, that one teacher. Yuji, he kicks the teacher. He just like kicks him like a soccer ball and says, "Move out of the way, fucking loser." That's where Yorichi says, "Whoa, he rolled down like a goddamn bowling ball. Wow, Kenny, that was so strong." This is where Yuji says, "Yeah, hey kid, I want to talk to you." He looks at, well, Junpei. Junpei kind of is scared and nervous of Yuji. And of course, Yuji is not wearing anything like what's it called, Jujutsu Sorcerer should be wearing. He's wearing this kind of clothing. So yeah, basically this clothing. And of course, is where, well, Junpei says, what would you like to talk about? Yuji kind of gets straight to the point. And of course, is where Yuji is kind of sitting there, kind of calling in Ichi, but sees that Ichi isn't picking up. That's where Yuji says, "So, what kind of movies you like?" This is where, well, yeah, Junpei was confused, and he talks about murder movies and all that. Yuji also likes murder movies, because if he can't murder in real life, he kind of just gonna have to go watch the movies. So, yeah. Of course, is where, well, Junpei is very interesting with this person, and of course, they still kind of become friends. Of course, Yuji does meet what's called Junpei's mother. Junpei's mother does kind of like Yuji because it's like a daughter she never had and all that. And of course, well, Yuji kind of stays over the night with what's it called, Yorichi, at Junpei's house. But yeah, because they're waiting for Ichi, but Ichi was still catching the goddamn curse spirit and lost it. And tried to call what's it called, Yuji, but Yuji kind of has his phone on silent because he doesn't like being called in the middle of the night when he's taking a sleep. Well, not mostly. Or mostly annoy his daughter. So, of course, the curse spirit, what's it called? That curse spirit was still kind of tried to kill Junpei's mother. But Yuji was there, so of course he grabs it, crushes it, sees the Sukuna finger, and what he does is kind of just chuck it so far. He didn't care. He just chucked it somewhere outside so far that it probably also went into space. Maybe. But yeah. Of course, Yuji went back to sleep and just kind of woke up the next day, and of course, is where, well, Junpei's mother's still alive, and yeah. Of course, is where Junpei is leaving for school and all that. This is where Yuji does tell him to never give up on anyone. If anyone does piss you off or try to hurt you, just call me. So, of course, where Junpei is kind of nervous to call Yuji in in the middle, in a assembly and all that, because yeah, that was the assembly. Junpei doesn't go, the cursed user. He doesn't become a cursed user yet. But of course, he does know how to use this, jellyfish. But this is where Yuji is still in well, the house, of course, is where, well, Makiho? Yeah, Makihiko, or whatever. He appears and says, "Huh, who the hell is this guy?" He sees a guy with bells, and this is where Yuji, he kicks thin air, but the girl, Junpei's mother, didn't see because she was kind of like making food, for Yorichi, because Yorichi liked that. And this is where, well, Yuji opened the door, and of course, Makiho was confused. Yuji sees Makiho, and he knows this is a curse spirit, so of course, what Yuji does, it kicked the shit out of him. Just kicked him right in the stomach, launching his ass across the city. Yeah, Makiho was kind of going to get the Sukuna finger real fast. Yeah, he didn't kind of expect a Yuji to be there. Yeah, Yuji is sometimes of a loose cannon. Now, of course, Yuji could have pretty easily killed the special grade, but of course he just ignored him and basically kicked him like a goddamn soccer ball. Go! He gets hit. Makiho does get hit into what's it called, a goalie. And this is where someone screams, "Go!" But yeah, this is where, well, Yuji, he is kind of eating, and of course, Ryuji, and of course, is where Junpei's mother is happy to know that Junpei kind of met good people and kind of are friends with people, so yeah. But yeah, This is where Junpei is still kind of getting bullied a little bit. This is where, well, the bully does grab Junpei's phone and call in someone named Kenpachi, because that's what Yuji kind of put it. And this is where, well, Yuji gets a phone call, and this is where what's it called, Junpei answers it, and it is the bullies right now kind of saying, "Oh, who are you? You must be Junpei's like loser friend or blah blah blah." Yuji says, "Who is this?" This is where, well, they say, "Oh, none of your business." This is where Yuji says, "Oh, it's gonna be my business now." This is where Yuji, he kind of like takes saying, "So you must be at this high school and all that." This is where they said, "Oh yeah, and what are you gonna do about it?" This is where Yuji hangs up the phone. This is where he says, "Yoriichi, you can stay here, right?" This is where, well, the mother of Junpei says, What is happening?" Yuji says, "Oh, nothing. Your son just got in trouble. I'm gonna go help him." That's where, well, she says, "Okay." So Yuji, he flash steps so fast. He appeared next to the school, and of course, next to some fence, and jumped over the fence, and sees, well, Junpei still being hurt. Of course, Junpei could have used his, well, what's it called? His, it's called jellyfish, which he did. He kind of stabbed into one, but then he realized that it was kind of bad. But this is where, well, the other bully tries to kick him. This is where Yuji appears right in front of Junpei. Now, I forgot how tall Junpei was. I think he was 5'9". Yuji is 6'2". He is towering these fuckers. This is where Yuji says, "Were you about to kick my friend? If that was the case, let me break your face in." This is where that one kind of guy that mostly the girls kind of look kind of liking him. That kind of somewhat is like a Doug boss or whatever. He was there, and of course Yuji punches him right in the face, shattering all bones. This is where the other were terrified of Yuji, and Yuji kind of just launches their asses out into fucking space, killing them, because Yuji doesn't give two fucks if you're human or not. So yeah, this is where Junpei says, "What did you do to them, Yuji?" Yuji says, "Oh, just threw them into space." What about him? Yuji throws that one body, because he did kill him and shattering his whole face, into the forest and says, "Oh, don't worry about him. It doesn't matter what he is or whatever." This is where Yuji, Junpei says, "You really don't care about anyone." And Yuji says, what do you even think, Junpei? Do you think I care about people or not?" That's where the vase would still happen. Junpei would just say, "What is this?" Yuji says, "A barrier. Interesting." That's where Yuji kind of opens the door for the assembly, sees that everyone's knocked out, so Yuji says, sees them that they are all knocked out. That's where Yuji says, "Interesting. Something's happening, Junpei." That's where Junpei is right now being, well, next to what's called Mahito. Mahito says, "Ha ha ha. It seems that you should have followed my plan, Junpei. Come here." This is where Junpei says, "Mahito?" But this is where Yuji appears with the sword cutting off what they call both of Mahito's arms. This is where Mahito was widened. This is where Yuji uses spiritual pressure to smash him to the ground. And this is where Yuji says, "Don't you dare touch my friend." This is where Yuji put his what's called hand into, well, yellow, and punches Mahito so hard that he just smashes through a barrier. This is where wait, let me remember his name. Ghetto, that was kind of leaving and all that, just sees Mahito kind of fly away again, and Ghetto just says, "God fucking damn it, not again." Great, I gotta go fucking get him and heal him and whatever bullshit. So yeah, Mahito was shocked that he got easily pummeled to the ground, and launched again, and the base was kind of broken again. So yeah, of course when Hanami gets there, he sees what they call Yuji done with the problem. Yuji just asks Junpei if he wants to go to Jujutsu High, and yeah. This is where Hanami says, "What, do I have to enroll him or something?" Yuji says, "Probably, or you can just make Gojo do it." Whatever happened. That's where Yuji says, "I have to go back to Junpei's house to get my, well, daughter." Nanami's still shocked to see that Yuji does have a daughter, but yeah. But other than that, they get back to Jujutsu High, and of course, Junpei is somewhat just trying with what's it called, Yuji, before the exchange event, because it's now into, well, a couple of, well, 2 weeks. before it starts. But yeah. Other than that, I'm going to end it off here. So have a nice potato day, potato night, potato soup, potato, and potato. But yeah, potato.